Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a lovely spring flower basket, a perfect gift for Mother's Day or for Easter. Hi, I'm Melanie Allen from Balloon Artworks. I'm a full-time balloon artist here in Derbyshire in the East Midlands. I'm here helping you create great balloon art, coming up with new designs every week. To make the basket, you're going to need two 350s. I'm using spring lilac and each one is inflated with a tail of about 5 fingers or so. And by the way, if you don't have 350s, don't worry, use 260s instead. They work just as well. So take your 350 and make a very small bubble of 2 to 3 fingers. And then just hang on to that. Take your other 350 and measure off a bubble that's about the same size. Now don't worry, this one is going to come undone, and then make a second bubble that's perhaps about 7 fingers or so. Now don't worry, this bubble is going to come undone. And then just wrap the two 350s together. Okay? And then give this 350 a squeeze. And we want to make a bubble that is the same size as the bubble up to this mark here. So just reinstate that little bubble that you made and then wrap the two balloons together. So this is what you've got. This is the beginning of our basket. Make a very small bubble. This is just a spacer bubble, so we want the balloons to be sitting on top of one another. We don't want too much of a gap in between. So this is a very small spacer bubble of at most a couple of fingers. Okay? And then we want to make another very small spacer bubble on the opposite side. Give everything a squeeze, and we want to make a bubble here that is perhaps a finger on each side longer than the one below. Okay. And then just wrap that into the little spacer bubble that you've made. And then with the longer of the two balloons, we want to make another bubble that matches this one. And then just trade places with these two. Swap them over. Okay, so this is a basic flat weave. And then we want to make another layer, so we want to make another very small spacer bubble and then another bubble that is about a finger wider than this one. So give everything a nice squeeze and a stretch and make your small 2-finger bubble. And another small 2-finger bubble here. And then bring this balloon over, and we just want to make it just a small amount larger than the first one, and just wrap that in there, wrap the two together. Okay, and then with this balloon we want to make another bubble that matches this one. Just give everything a squeeze, measure against that balloon, and then just flip those over. Just trade places, that's all they're doing. And at this point we can break off these two balloons and tie in the ends. With these two little bubbles that we started with, you can just convert those into little pinch twists. Using a bit of lilac 260, just take the end and just wrap the end into that pinch twist, one of those pinch twists that you've created. Just make a little bubble of a couple of fingers, followed by 2 small pinch twists of a couple of fingers. And then make another bubble of a couple of fingers. And then just wrap that into the pinch twist on the other side and then break off and tie. And at this point you can push all this inside. So the 2 little pinch twists, you need to put those so that they are facing in the opposite direction. So just push those inside and then push those 2 pinch twists on either side inside. So you've got a nice flat bottom and those pinch twists have just pushed everything out a little bit. So giving it a bit of a rounder look. Next we're going to make a few daffodils. So take a 160 in yellow or goldenrod, and I've got a 5-finger tail or so. We're not going to use the whole 160, so it's not critical. And I'm going to make 3 small loop twists of about 3 fingers each. So I'm just making some small loop twists, folding the balloon over, measuring with my fingers, and each one is approximately 3 fingers. And then we want to make a very small bubble of only about a finger or so. Okay. And then we want to make another 3 loop twists, just slightly bigger than the first 3, so maybe 4 fingers. Make a loop, measure 4 fingers and twist. And if they're not exactly 4 fingers, don't worry. Close enough will do. Okay, so we've made our second 3, and then you can break the rest off. Leave yourself a nice long tail, and then what we want to do is just bring this and wrap it up through those first loops and then back again a few times, and then you can break this off. Next, take a bit of 160 orange and just wrap the nozzle into the front of your daffodil. Okay, and make a very small bubble of 1 to 2 fingers, and then convert that into a pinch twist. I'm just wrapping that round and then bringing that round, wrapping it in a few times to secure it. Save the rest for your next flower. Take a 160 green and just wrap the nozzle into the back of that flower head. And again, if you've not got 160s, use 260s. It really doesn't matter for this design. The important thing is that the proportions are right. So when I first started, I fell into the trap of thinking that I had to have every single balloon that was featured in the video tutorials that I was watching, and that's certainly not the case. So use what you've got. I'm a big believer in using the balloons that you have in stock. So if you've got 260s rather than 160s, use the 260s. So take your green balloon and just make a couple of 1 finger to 2 finger bubbles, and then convert them into pinch twists. So that's our first pinch twist. Make another 1 to 2 finger bubble and turn that one into a pinch twist as well. Okay, and there we've got our daffodil. And you want to make a few more of these. So take your basket and a couple of daffodil heads and decide how far up you want the daffodil heads to appear, and I like to have them at different heights. So I'm thinking about there. So I'm going to take 2 and I'm just going to twist them together at the base like that. And the next bit is a little bit tricky because things do get a little bit cramped and tight in here, but you're taking that junction there, feeding it into the basket, and then you are twisting it around those two little pinch twists that we made at the base, and that will just secure those flowers in position. So I'm just going to concentrate on doing that. Okay, so that was one of those instances where I just find multitasking too difficult. And then what we can do is put the flower heads on these remaining stems. So I'm going to have one that's a little bit lower here. I'm just going to wrap that into the back there. And then I'm going to make those two little pinch twists. In fact, on that one I can get away with one pinch twist. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to break this off, but I'm going to hang on to this bit. So I'm going to leave myself a nice long tail, tie that off, and just hang on to that. To make the handle, I've got two 160s, pretty much fully inflated. One's got a little bit of a tip, and I have tied them together. Take one of your 160s and just feed that through those two layers, and just pull that through, and then we just want to candy cane these two, so spiral those together, and however long you want your handle to be, well, that's your judgment call. So let's see how we're getting on. I think that's about right. So we're just kind of framing the daffodils with the handle. So I'm going to twist those two together at that point. And I'm going to take one of them and I'm going to feed it through between these two balloons here. Pull them through, wrap them round, and then I'm going to make a small pinch twist in each of the 160s of just a finger or so. And then I'm going to break off the 160s and tie. So take a white 160 or a colour, whatever colour you're using, and make a little 2-finger bubble. And I'm going to make a small bow for my basket. So I just want to judge how big I want that bow to be. So I've made a loop of about 5 fingers, and then I'm going to make another loop to match that one. I'm going to position my bow slightly off to one side, and I'm just going to run this 160 along this line here and just underneath the handle and round the back, just pressure fitting that, and then wrapping that 160 into the centre of the bow quite snugly. Just wrap that round, and then I'm just going to make sure I'm happy with how it's positioned before I do anything else, and I am. So I'm going to wrap that in a few times more and then break off the 160, and then just take this little bubble here and turn that into a pinch twist. And to give our bow a bit of shaping, just pull the loops apart and give a bit of a squeeze and a stretch. You can do more, you can add bows on the handle, you can dress this design up as much as you like. It's very, very versatile. And one final thing that I tend to do is I like to add a weight, and I do that by putting a weight and just attaching it to those pinch twists inside and securing it there, so it's all hidden inside, and that means that this does stand on its own. I always like to use sand weights. You can use a water weight if you prefer. My preference is to use sand weights. I just find them a little bit more secure, a bit more malleable, easier to work with, and you don't run the risk of water spilling. There are other things that you can do. You can add bows to the handle. You can do all sorts. I've added little animals inside, insects, all sorts. It's a very, very versatile design, and I really hope you like it and you get a lot of use out of it. Remember to subscribe to my channel. I publish videos every Tuesday on balloon art, tips and tutorials. So please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I really hope you did. I hope you've learned a lot from this. And let me know how you're going to use this design. Are you going to be using the daffodils with the basket or picking another type of flower? Feel free to join me over in Balloon Artworks Academy. That's the closed Facebook group that I run, and if you've any questions on this or any of other of my videos, feel free to ask either in the comments below or in Balloon Artworks Academy. I really hope I'll see you there. I'll see you again in the next video.